Back now on Race for the White House from San Francisco tonight for the back half. I'm David Gregory. Governor Sarah Palin single-handedly changed the political terrain of this race, re-energizing Senator McCain's base, replenishing his war chest, and shifting up that electoral map. But with the financial crisis rocking Wall Street now, will the bad economic news neutralize Palin's bounce? The two of them bounce together. Joining us now to talk about it, Gene Robinson, MSNBC political analyst and columnist and associate editor at the Washington Post. John Harwood, is CNBC's chief Washington correspondent and a political correspondent for the New York Times. And Michael Smerconish, Philadelphia radio talk show host and columnist for both the Philadelphia Daily News and the Philadelphia Inquirer. Gene, let me start with you. The Palin bounce, the Palin effect, seems to have been overtaken by this debate over the economy.
It seems that way. I mean, if you're a devotee of the daily tracking polls, you see Obama moving up a bit, McCain moving down a bit. And this looks like a good issue for Obama, in part because McCain seems to keep tripping over himself with the, fundamentals are strong comment. He was against the AIG bailout, and then he was for it. And so it seems to be a real opportunity for the Obama campaign to regain its footing.
Today at a campaign stop in Cleveland, Ohio, Governor Palin weighed in on that federal bailout for AIG.
Disappointed that taxpayers are called upon to bail out another one. Certainly AIG, though, with the construction bonds that they're holding and with the insurance that they're holding, very, very impacting to Americans. So the shot that has been called by the feds, it's understandable, but very, very disappointing that taxpayers are called upon for another one.
John Harwood, a couple of points here. First, we have not seen her in impromptu sessions being tested, being questioned about issues of the day. Two, on the issue of federal bailouts, both McCain and now Governor Palin saying they don't like these bailouts, but they are supportive of them. Again, this is something that's all happening in real time, and they're trying to size up the best response.
Well, exactly. And nobody wants to, talk about putting the taxpayer on the hook, but they also don't want the economy to collapse either, so they really don't have any choice. What the McCain campaign has to ask us, do sessions like that inspire confidence that Sarah Palin knows what she's talking about on the economy? You look at the interview she had with Charlie Gibson on that subject the other day. I don't think that was something that demonstrated a lot of grasp of economic detail or economic policy. That's another reason why this is something that's benefiting Barack Obama rather than John McCain. Also, the Carly Fiorina comments yesterday about how neither John McCain nor Sarah Palin could run a major corporation. Of course, she said the same thing about Barack Obama, but that doesn't help when your surrogate delivers that message. And finally, I talked to a McCain strategist today who said the Palin effect, that is yesterday, this is a real problem that we're in right now, which was a sign to me that, again, this is something that provides an opportunity for Barack Obama to take off.
Right. I mean, this, Smirk, is a very specific set of problems, and I suppose in fairness to both sides of the political aisle here, the people who are in the middle of this financial storm don't know exactly when it's going to end and which way is the exit. So it's a pretty complicated set of facts right now.
It's heady stuff. I mean, that's what you're saying. And I think that we Americans can form intelligent decisions relative to whether we should get out of Iraq and whether there should be a timetable by virtue of doing so. But on this, I think there's complete bafflement in the American populace. And so you look at that footage of Sarah Palin in the diner or the restaurant where she offers that quick soundbite, and I don't think that's going to wash. I don't think that's going to be sufficient. I mean, we ask our prospective employees for routine jobs far more questions than she's been subjected to in this process so far. So I think it may catch up with her for that reason.
Well, here also the political reality here, the strategic reality is that both sides are looking for vulnerabilities in the other side to undermine each other on this basic confidence question on the economy. So today in Nevada, Obama attacked McCain for saying that he'll take on the old boys network in Washington. Watch.
This is somebody who's been in Congress for 26 years. Who put 7 of the most powerful Washington lobbyists in charge of his campaign. And now he tells us that he's the one who's going to take on the old boys network. The old boys network. In the McCain campaign, that's called a staff meeting.
John Harwood, how effective?
I think that was a pretty good line. More effective than the advertisement than Barack Obama has been running on that subject, which features pictures of lobbyists that people don't know and, lines connecting them with corporations that they lobby for. But again, anything that allows Barack Obama to make the argument in broad strokes that that's the party that's been in charge. They're not on your side. I am on your side is an opportunity for him to make progress.
Yeah, Gene, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one thing. If we develop a consensus that one of the causes of this crisis it was deregulation or lack of regulation or proper regulation, then I think that is a problem for McCain as well, since he has been throughout his career such a proponent of deregulation. And I think the more we kind of go back into that history, of course, now he says we need more regulation, but that's going to be a tricky thing for him to explain, I think.
But Carly Fiorina, who was on the program a couple of nights ago, said it's easy to confuse McCain as a sort of full effect free market guy, where she said the reality is that he's never really been that. He likes to think of himself more in the mold of Teddy Roosevelt, who was more of a populist who would take on Wall Street. And they laid the blame. There's actually an opportunity for the McCain team here to lay the blame with the Bush administration. And Carly Fiorina said it. She said, you want to talk about the Wild West, no regulation, let the markets reign. That's the Bush administration of the past 8 years. That's the argument that the McCain folks are now making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's a smart argument for them to make. The question is, will the Obama people then point to McCain's previous votes in favor of deregulation, votes that supported measures that the Bush administration took to deregulate the markets, and say, well, this is what John McCain says now, but what did he do when he had the chance to do something
that's the question here. That's the question here, Smirk, which is, if you're John McCain, can you separate from the Bush administration? Can you separate from your party's economic philosophy?
It's funny that you raised this, because Carly Fiorina yesterday was on my radio program, and when I asked her who's to blame, the first thing that she mentioned, the Democratic Congress. And I said, well, wait a minute. You can't mention the Democratic Congress without talking about the Republican White House. This all bodes poorly for John McCain, because he's a member of the party in control. And these events have reached such a stage that I think there could be a throw-them-all-out mentality.
All right, well, let's listen to more of Governor Palin. She was at a rally in Ohio last night, and she talked about the economy in terms of gas and groceries. Watch.
A full tank at the pump kind of seemed like a luxury. The cost of living, of course, is going up. Groceries going up. Everything's going up, but the value of your paycheck has been going down.
John Harwood, she's an effective spokesperson on this particular issue. She's going to connect with a lot of voters, just given her background in life as somebody who's going through a lot of this with young kids and kids who are approaching college age.
Well, a couple of points on that. Yes, she is relatable to the average person. A lot of people see themselves in Sarah Palin in her life. That's a positive attribute. On the other hand, when you have a crisis and it looks like something's gone deeply wrong with the economy, do you want somebody who looks like they, are your next door neighbor and doesn't have a much higher level of expertise to solve the problem? This is what there's a premium on looking like you knowing what you're talking about. And secondly, if you look at Sarah Palin in that interview with Charlie Gibson, what she said was she wants government to get out of the way. She was asked, what are you going to change about the Bush economic policies? She said, we shouldn't look to government to the solution. There is a role for government, but that's not where we should look. We should get government out of the way of the private sector. That goes exactly against the impulse that is coursing through the country right now, including John McCain, who himself says that we need more regulation.
Well, more regulation, but also that the federal bailouts are necessary, that the balancing test here, even for free market Republicans, is, yes, in principle, we agree with that, but we can't let the economy crumble. We can't let the likes of AIG go under. They did that with Lehman, but they didn't do it with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Well, that's true. You've got to pick and choose, and Hank Paulson's playing defense, trying to do the best job he can to figure out what he can let go, where he can draw the line, as he did yesterday at Lehman, as the Fed did yesterday, and where you can't draw the line because it's going to take everybody down.